For this assignment, we're going to do a small sculpture. This sculpture will be done beginning with some armature wire. So it'll be the basic creature. I'm going to do a four-legged creature, and you could do a two-legged one or whatever type you want. But here, what you see is I'm taking the armature wire. It's a soft aluminum wire that you could buy in arts and crafts stores, any art supply store. And here you'll see what I'm doing is I'm doing the other side diagonally, the back leg and the front leg of this particular creature. Now it's important, even though this is going to be a creature, to base it. You need to base it on basic anatomy. So you need to get the right positions. Here I have a baseboard with holes drilled, 4 holes, because what I'm doing is I'm going to stick the legs in through the holes, and then what I'll do is I'll lock them on the back side by folding them over. So just by taking that, folding it over like that, I'll be able to lock it in position. And I'll do the same on the other side. Now, so there's the basic wire sculpture to begin with. It's called an armature. And what we're going to do next is we're going to need some aluminum foil, so we have to build up the body before we start adding clay. And it's good to cut the aluminum foil in strips, like of about 1 inch, 2 inch strips. And these strips you will use to wrap around the wire to build up the basic form of the particular creature. Now again, I can't emphasize enough that you need to get a good book on an animal or a reference you're going to use, and you got to get the right location of things like knees, hips. Even though it's a creature, you still want it to be based on realistic kinds of anatomy. So a little bit on animal. Now here's the completed thing with the all the aluminum on it, all the aluminum foil on it. Once you got it completed to where it kind of looks like the creature you want, then you could start adding the clay. And what we're going to use for clay is Super Sculpey. This allows you can actually bake this once it's done. It's a low fire clay. It's sort of like clay that you would make pottery out of. And it comes in these a pack of it. It'll come in these typical clay-like shapes. What you want to do is you want to knead it a little bit, because as you knead it, it will get softer and more pliable. Here I applied some to the head already. And you want to put it on about 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch thick. And try to be consistent in thickness. You don't want to get too thick or too thin in some parts. If you should then bake it, it'll crack. So you can read the instructions on the box if you do want to finish your sculpture. What we're going to do is, just for this assignment, because of time constraints, it's going to be a rough sculpture without the detail. So here what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start applying it to the legs, because you'd want to apply it to the legs to give the overall sculpture strength. If you applied it to the body and without the legs, the weight of it might then cause some issues. So here I'm just wrapping it around the leg, and I'm attempting to develop some form there. Remember, this is just going to be a rough sculpture. We're not going to go ahead and texture or do any of that sort of thing. That's something that you could do on your own. This will stay in a soft stage until you bake it. So here I'm just building up the legs, and I got all 4 legs done. So the next step is, once I got that done, is finish up applying the Super Sculpey to the remainder of the sculpture. And that would then bring it to a point where I would have it pretty much finished. Now, this is basically all you have to do for the assignment. I do have another tool here, which is a sculpting tool that I have on your list. And the sculpting tool will allow you to go ahead into it, and it has 2 sides to it. It has a wooden side and there's a wire side, and you can go ahead and create a little more finished looking piece. But for the assignment, for this assignment, all you have to do is photograph it at the rough stage at this point, and that would be sufficient for the time frame that we have.